10 p.m. in Accra. My name is Bright Nana Amfo. Thanks so much. This is how we're wrapping up the day on news on this network TV3 from our studios here in Accra. From now 10:30, we'll tell you what's happening in Ghana and across the rest of the world. Let's start with some major news highlight on this network. 108 Ghanaians have been deported from Benin as we're told that their settlement has been affected by a national plan of action of the Benin government. The Central Regional Directorate of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has been assisting in their registration and facilitating their transportation to their hometowns here in Ghana. That's the story from Benin, Ghana's neighbor. 100 plus more Ghanaians deported from that country. Another person suspected to have been involved in the murder of Major Maxwell Adams Mahama has been arrested and put before the Accra Central District Court. Emmanuel Baden was arrested at Lubu in the western region of Ghana. That's on Ghana's border with La Côte d'Ivoire. We're told that he is a bricklayer and is suspected to have been involved in the killing. President Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has received the first Ghana card to signal the official rollout of the national ID system. The card is expected to replace sectorial ID cards and will be the only mechanism for transaction where identification is required. President Akufo-Addo now has a Ghana card, the first gentleman of the land. And of course, the weekend viewers across the country, if you are with us, grateful for your time. From now till 10:30, we'll fill you in before you jump into bed. This is News at 10. Let's start with a big one. This is where we're starting from. Former President Jerry John Rawlings has clarified his statement suggesting it will be impossible for the NDC to win back power from the NPP in the 2020 general elections. Speaking on TV3's News 360, the former president said he would wish that the NDC, a party he founded, wins the next general elections in 2020, but questioned the readiness of the party.
Has gone through several difficulties in the past 8 months since it's been in opposition. Several issues are coming up about the leadership of the party and how they are going to organize themselves to win the 2020 election. We have the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, on the phone, so we're going to speak to him to find out a few issues that are of concern to him and how the party is going to organize itself for the 2020 election. Mr. President, it's good to speak to you. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Right. So what can the NDC do right now to organize itself for the 2020 elections?
There are quite a few things that need to be done. However, let me simply say that I would very much want to see the NPP beaten. But do we have what it takes? Do we have the capacity to be able to wrestle power from them in their midstream? That's the issue we should be addressing. We should be looking at this question a lot more seriously than we've done so far. That's it.
Right. You are a former president, the leader of the party. At the moment, what do you think can be fixed right now to make the NDC ready to win the 2020 elections?
Quite a few things, but the most important factor, I believe, has to do with the issue of the cleanup that needs to be done. The restoration of our integrity. We don't like to hear it, but I keep repeating it. We have to go back, seize the moral high ground. And I believe we know what we have to do. Okay, but I don't think we're prepared to confront it, or that's what I've noticed. about some of our people.
So, Mr. President, how about the grassroots of the party? I mean, we have recognized that the NDC relies so much on the influence of the grassroots, or what we call grassroots politics, to win elections. Are they involved in this clean-up that you are talking about?
If we would involve them, I'm sure they could ensure it. They could help us clean up. But the manner in which the electoral process has been happening since Sunyani, has not been encouraging. It's unfortunate, most unfortunate. That's how come we lost the moral high ground. I think they know what needs to be done.
We have been following the discussions after the NDC lost power in the 2016 elections, and there seems to be some disaffection from the grassroots. How are you going to bring them on board and give them the confidence that they require to really fight for the party to come to power again?
Well, the point is to embark on the empowerment process. Let's give back the party to them. They are the ones who actually make it possible to win or lose elections. Let's respect their views. Let's respect their pains, their sensitivities. Let's get back to, and when I say the moral high ground, it's about time we stop using the money factor. Let's get back to the respect of our values. Yep.
So,
you can't use money to buy anything and everything.
Yeah, I reckon that. But how do you reconcile the top hierarchy of the party now to recognize that they need to come together to get this victory you're talking about?
Yes, we need to come together, but around personalities or around issues, around values. I think that is what will make the difference. Let's get back. Let's unite around the old values. Then I think we'll be making some progress.
All right. Okay. That was the former President, Jerry John Rawlings. He's been speaking to us on his concerns about reorganizing the NDC to take back power.
Abu Issa Moni there talking to former President Rawlings on the NDC. When we'll come back, we'll tell you exactly what is happening at the University of Education Winneba campus as the impasse continues and UTAG is insisting that there is something wrong. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. Right, and some other issues tonight. The Global Human Capital Report 2017 has ranked Ghana #2 in terms of the number of human capital in sub-Saharan Africa. Rwanda placed first, with Cameroon and Mauritius ranking third and fourth. The report noted that the countries have developed more than 60% of the human capital. The report also attributed Ghana and Rwanda's successes to bridging education and employment gender gaps. That's the story so far. Let's try and make some analysis of this. Mohammed Assar is a development expert. He's with me here in the studio. Good evening and grateful for your time with us. So if Ghana is placed behind Rwanda in this kind of ranking, it is good news.
Yeah, it's good news. Good evening to our Charles listeners, and it has been a long time in a way. But I think this is a very important subject that we as a country need to take seriously into our development agenda. This is an indication that we are growing. The Human Development Index has a lot of indicators, statistical indicators that rank countries according to how you are growing in terms of per capita income, sometimes per capita in human development growth, in terms of how your workforce are, coming from qualified, skills and all that. So over the years, we have been lagging. But this is a tremendous effort that we have achieved now, and I think it's something that we need to really look carefully into and see how we are going to use that to propel our development in the next I mean, say in the next 10 years.
So what do you think might have contributed to this? We're told particularly that this is taking a look at issues of education and gender, bridging the gap. Exactly what factors you think or you can hazard might have contributed to our place in second?
Yeah, for sure. As I said, this is an index where we calculate from how your human capital, in terms of the quality,
right,
in terms of higher education, in terms of training, in terms of skills in job. So how has your country grown in terms of that? So for sure, if you are able to bridge your gender parity, women are about 51% of the population in Ghana. So for sure, if you are able to make or allow more women to go to school, especially to the higher level, as we're having in Ghana today, definitely it means that you are increasing your human capital stock.
Right.
Secondly, if you are able to at least encourage people to go to school. In the past, certain regions in Ghana did not really get the opportunity, not just because of resources, and particularly, let's say, in northern region of Ghana, particularly where Islam had a lot of negative implications for the attainment of higher education. For now, you see from northern region, a lot of people wanting their children to go to school. So all these factors are really contributing to our ranking, I mean, going higher as we see it now. But this is not to say that we have attained a very good ranking.
We still need to work hard.
We still have a lot to do.
Where exactly do we need to put a few things in to get
I mean, for sure, we are just around, I mean, 72. Other countries in like Botswana and Co. around 92, or around 90, getting to the hundreds. That means that we still have a lot to do. But we need to understand that it is not just about growing your human capital, but how you to deploy them.
Right.
In the context of development, it is not just a matter of you having a higher score in the human capital index, but how you are able to deploy these high skills people.
You can churn qualified personnel, but if they are unable to get employment, then you are back to zero.
Yes, zero. So because when you are calculating this index, we try to look at, okay, if somebody is employed at TV3, then you try to look at their qualifications against their job. Yes, you may come across a lot of them with higher education, masters, PhDs, and the rest, but their output. So productivity can still not be may not be growing, but even though you have higher human capital index. So that is where we need to take it from. That yes, we are getting appreciable growth in our human capital index, but how can we use that to the advantage of our growth?
I see.
What does that mean for our economy? What does that mean for our agenda for growth? So that is where other countries, for instance, will try
shine what we are doing.
Yes, I will try their possible best. I mean, these things should not just come haphazardly. I mean, getting higher human capital index should not just come haphazardly. You know, in recent times, we woke up overnight to hear that we have been rebased, and then we became middle-income countries. And we all say, hey, did we expect that? Or was this something that we're working towards? Was it something that we had planned to achieve? Because countries grow by planning to achieve where they want to be. So if we have attained, a growth in our human capital index, that does not mean that we are growing. Because if you are doing much and then you don't know where you are going, definitely you will not be able to know where you want to be. So I think it is very important that these things are coming up, and it confirms some of what some of us have been saying, that we need to have a very coherent development approach and development a framework that will guide what we do, so that in the next 10 years we are talking about free education for the basic level after senior high school. That has to do, or that has a lot of implications for our next growth in our human capital index. You can see in Rwanda and other countries, these were some of the approaches that they use.
Right.
But so we should not just do it just because we want to win political capital. And I have been talking about these things. That look, let's see how our policies are are in conformity with our national development goals.
So you're talking about proper planning.
Proper planning.
That you don't just admit students into senior high school and,
Yes,
and leave it at that.
for sure.
Because in the next 3 years, they're moving out.
What are they going to do?
What happens to them?
To them. Because you can attain this human capital growth, but we have not even done what we call analysis of which aspect of the human capital we are growing. Because we can go in detail as a country to now look, okay, we have attained this higher human capital growth. Which aspects of our economy are we getting higher skills? And what can we do with that?
Technology?
For instance, for technology, we are talking about...
Everybody's talking about
technology. We can now go into it to find out how many of these this growth in terms of human capital are technological leading. For instance, we are talking about other countries like Rwanda and Zambia.
Mauritius and
the rest. And what they try to do is that, look, if you are aiming at getting higher skilled people, is to be targeted at areas that your economy needs. We pride ourselves that we are a agrarian economy and we have potentials in agriculture. Then how many of these people have the potentials of promoting that sector? Yes, if we have a lot of people who are probably trained as maybe non-agricultural backgrounds, and we say our economy is now built on agriculture, then you can see that you have human capital growth, but your economic growth will not really receive the same.
I see. If you take a look at the free senior high school admissions, for instance,
yes,
you realize that most of the students were admitted into certain disciplines. Just a few were admitted into agriculture, technical and vocational studies.
Yes.
Perhaps then we seem not to be getting what we need to do, because if you want to go towards industrializing, these are the areas we should pay critical attention to.
And we need to even look detail to see whether, because I have always asked the question, what is our agenda of education? Are we looking for just literacy and numeracy, or we are looking for actual education and development? Because the concept of education and development is how do you get the people to develop the skills, and how do you get them to apply the skills into your relevant sectors of your economy? Because if you're talking of you relying on agriculture, for instance, and you are not able to produce people who will come not just to have certificates in agriculture, but will have the entrepreneurial drives to drive agriculture. Because you can produce people with agriculture certificates, but they will come and go around the ministries applying for jobs at the Ministry of Agriculture, which cannot employ anymore. But they don't have that entrepreneurial skills to go out and start raiding their own goods and own sheep, or producing their own backyards and transform that to become entrepreneurs in agriculture. That is the mindset of education that we should look for. So you can see that countries that have achieved the higher per capita growth have really, translated that to growth in their economies, because they have tailored the capital growth to a particular sector, which is their backbone of their economy.
Let's wrap up our conversation.
Yeah.
How should Ghana take leverage on this achievement, placing second, and perhaps move towards the direction that it wants to go?
I think we have something that is already in our public discussions and then in our development discussions now. That is the development of a comprehensive national development framework, which will recognize and take note of some of these things and see how best that indicator can be translated to the growth of the particular sectors of the economy. Second, we need to start imbibing in, trying to sensitize some of these young people that yes, it's not a matter of just attaining higher education, because our index has gone higher because we have a lot of people who have attained higher education. People who have second degrees, what are they going for those second degrees for? If you are going to university, what are we producing the university graduates for? We are now talking about technical universities. We are going to produce more university students. Are we just producing people with certificates, or we are producing people who will understand that their education is their ability to translate their knowledge into solving societal problems, which will translate to solving their own problems in the long run, and in the end will solve the national problem.
Mohamed, I'm grateful for your time with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. Mohamed Asa is a development expert talking to me about Ghana placing second on the Human Index Development. We'll have more on that later on. But now, private developers who have put up buildings along the catchment areas of the Wabi and Barekese dams have been given 1 week to produce their permits or have their property demolished. The move is to save the two dams from imminent collapse.
The Owabi Dam, constructed almost 90 years ago, was designed to produce 3 million gallons of water daily to supplement the Barekese Dam, which produces 21 million gallons daily. The facility, however, produces 2 million gallons following massive encroachment on the site. More than 3,000 acres of the 4,250 acres of reserved lands along the banks of the dam have been encroached on. The Barekese Dam faces a similar threat. Private developers are the main culprits here, with buildings at different stages of completion. The acting regional manager in charge of production, Engineer Charles Tulasi, appealed to the authorities to intervene to save their situation.
The tributaries are also gradually dying. The river source is also reducing, is dying, yes. All water that we need to treat, well, it will be difficult to get, the way things are going. So we would plead with all the stakeholders, the press, to help us to prevent this from going on.
Have since March this year invaded more than 115,000 hectares of farm fields, having living farmers struggling to recoup the investment. Government, in a bid to fight the worms, distributed chemicals to farmers. We're told that there could be a major resurgence of the fall armyworm. We're told that they are back in full swing. Let's try and reach the programs officer of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Charles Nyaba, joining me on the phone lines. Charles, grateful for your time tonight. Are you, or can you confirm that indeed the fall armyworm is back?
Good evening, Bright. I think for the areas I visited in Brong-Ahafo region, I got up this evening. The fall armyworms are back.
In the Brong-Ahafo region? In
Brong-Ahafo region, yeah. Because I visited a number of districts, and all the places I went, actually I've seen there. I went there upon a request by our members that the fall armyworms are actually worrying their minor season maize farms. So I went to actually confirm what was happening in the field.
I see. Are you able to tell us which districts the worm has attacked?
Yeah, where I went was Wenchi, Techiman South, and then Kintampo North.
Okay. Wenchi, Techiman South, and Kintampo North.
Yes.
So, exactly, what are the worms attacking? Are they new farms, new crops?
You know, what happened is the worms, I want to believe, they feed more on when the maize are still fresh, between the 1 to 2 weeks. So normally when the maize is matured, they are not able to cause more harm. So the statement by the minister that they completely defeated the worms, I want to believe, you know, after the time that statement was released, the rains were in, and then most people have already planted their maize, and it grown to a certain stage. So at that period, you don't really see the worm that much. But as the second season is starting and then the maize is coming fresh, then you are seeing them more.
I see. We're told by officials that chemicals are ready to fight the worms. Now, you visited Wenchi, Techiman, and then Kintampo North. And so, did you see the farmers with the right chemicals to battle the worms?
Yeah, but sincerely speaking, even the issue of chemicals, we have stated over and over again that those chemicals that were given by the ministries were not effective in controlling the worm. That's one. Secondly, we are not even encouraging the use of chemicals. Excessive use of chemicals might lead to so many things. When APO held a meeting at the peak of the fall armyworms in Ghana, they recommended, they advised that we should find another means of controlling the chemicals. Because if you apply pesticides on your field for more than 3 times, the likelihood of you getting the chemicals into either the vegetables or the grains is very high. Apart from that, due to linking, these chemicals find their way into our water bodies and causing a whole lot of environmental harm. So we are thinking that we need to actually find another means of controlling them. And what farmers have started using is, some of them are using concoctions, others are also using extracts of neem tree, if you know neem tree.
Yeah.
They grind the leaves and then the seeds and then sieve the water and then use it to spray. According to them, when they do that, it's very effective. Others are also using tobacco. They soak the tobacco leaves and then use the water to spray it over, and it's working. So I'm thinking that we need to begin to resort to other biological means of controlling this trend. Because over-reliance on these chemicals, I don't think it's too good for our health and the environment. All
right, I'm grateful. Charles Nyabai is the Programs Officer of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. They're talking to me about the fall. We'll bring you more on that later on. But that's how we're wrapping up the show for tonight. If you watched us from your homes, we're grateful for your time. If you listen to us on 3FM, we're also grateful. My guys in the studio, Christopher Sua, Stephen Nete, and Daniel Lati, my cameraman, James Tete, Theophilus Clotte, my soundman, and of course, John the Baptist Flagbo and Manasseh Darko. The show was put together by Samuel Owuswentri and Isaac Ameko. Studio Director Richard Guslamte. My name is Bright Nanamfo. Have a good night and stay right here on TV3. Good night.